love you all. That sounds a little special. You know, and in loving you all, I want the best for you. And so I hope this last week that everything went exactly the way you planned for it to go, that nothing unforeseen came up, nothing changed your plans, and that every week is just like that. No, not so much? Yeah. If that was your week, quite frankly, I'm probably a little bit surprised, and you're an exception rather than a rule. Because it seems like more often than not, life does not go exactly as we planned. Sometimes it's a minor hiccup. Other times it's a complete, unexpected upheaval of what we had intended to have happen. When the inevitable upheaval occurs, we generally react the same way. You know, I think we jump into action, ready to solve whatever problem has cropped up. And we, you know, in our lives, we've been rewarded for these actions that we've taken to solve these problems as we adapt to the ever-changing realities of the world around us. And that seems kind of consistent with what we've all learned. Doing is the way to get things done. Doing is the way to solve problems. Doing is the way to live life. That's how I've always lived. I've often been rewarded for what I've done more than what I've left undone. The action steps that I've taken. I'm sure that's true for most of us. We get paid for what we do. We get promoted for what we do. We get rewarded for what we do. And yet Jesus says, the better part is just being. You know, when we're too busy doing, sometimes it seems like we don't have time for learning. We just sort of jump into action and keep moving and moving. And when we're moving so fast, we can't always hear the still small voice of God. The still small voice of God that is calling us to where we really need to be. The still small voice of God that is assuring us that we are loved. The still small voice of God that is filled with grace. Yet God is constantly calling us to learn. God is constantly calling us to change. God is constantly calling us to be something else. And if we're too busy doing something that we shouldn't be doing, something that's guiding us the wrong way, we don't have the chance to hear where God really wants us to be. When we love God, we realize that it's not our responsibility to solve all the problems of the world. It's in God's hands. When we turn toward God and love God, we realize that the weight of the world that we sometimes feel like we're carrying by ourselves as this burden that weighs us down can all rest with God. As we walk with God, we know not that all will be well, but that all is well. But maybe the lesson that we're hearing today is that when we're faced with a problem, when we're faced with a challenge, when we think we don't know what to do but come up with 14 solutions that we think we want to jump into, maybe we just stop. Maybe we just breathe. Maybe we just listen for that still small voice of God that has loved us from the beginning of time and will love us until the end of time. The question is not, what do I do? But maybe the question should be, how do I be? Not what action do I take, but what do I hear as I listen in the silence? Not where do I go, but how do I stop? How do I sit at the feet of Jesus and listen for the voice of God guiding me forward? This is an exercise in trusting in God and learning to trust God. It is an exercise that needs to be practiced. It doesn't happen just once. We need to do this again and again. Jesus is reminding us that just being is good enough. Amen.